Hey, what's up? It's Jake from Nimbus DevOps, and I'm going to start with an overview of how Terraform fits into the bigger picture. In order to understand that, you need to know a little bit about DevOps. And I'm not going to go into it super detail, but all I will tell you is that devs write app code, operations people write ops code, and we need to work together to make the software delivery process as efficient as possible and automating as many things as we can along the way. That's basically my definition of DevOps. Um, Everybody has a different definition, but just you have to at least understand a little bit about it in order to start using Terraform and get a certification. So, what is infrastructure as code? Let's talk about that for a second. So, you want to write, execute, define, update, destroy all of your infrastructure and treat everything that you would normally manage, like in a data center or in the cloud, as software. So this could be ad hoc scripts when you first get started, Bash, Python, whatever, which is super flexible, but it lacks standards. So you could end up with some crazy differences between how people write their scripts, which can lead to them being not so readable. Then you've got config management tools like Ansible, Chef, and Puppet, which do provide a lot of structure, strong consistency. It's item potent. It's good distribution across multiple servers. So that's a really great choice to move if you're trying to if you're using ad hoc scripts today. Another option you can look at is server templating. So Docker, Packer, Vagrant, pretty much just anything that's immutable. You can throw it away. You can rebuild it. And then you get into orchestration tools, which is the orchestration of the things that you're building with server templating tools. So Kubernetes, Swarm, Nomad, AWS, ECS, EKS, stuff like that. Then lastly, we get into provisioning tools, and that's where Terraform comes in. So alternatives might be Pulumi or CloudFormation. So aside from that, why would you use infrastructure as code? Well, you have self-service. This is a big one. You don't have to have like that one sysadmin that knows everything and use him all the time. You can instead give developers access to a tool where they can deploy their own stuff whenever they want to. It's safer because it's in code and it's version controlled. It's repeatable, it's automated, so it's faster. It's documented because it's all in code, so you can go to the repo and anybody can see it. And you can do some validation. You can do reviews, you can do static analysis, you can do some testing, and it's reusable. You can modularize things and reuse it in different scenarios, reduce your code footprint, don't repeat yourself, and then overall, it just kind of helps people enjoy their jobs more because you have less frequent outages and everybody can focus more on coding and less on reacting to incidents. So, how does it work? At a very high level, Terraform is an open source tool written in Go, compiled into a single binary called Terraform that you can run on your laptop, you can run it on a build server, and under the hood, what it does is it actually makes API calls on your behalf to something called a provider, so like AWS, GCP, Azure, etc. And you write your Terraform config. Terraform passes that information to the provider using their API and then provisions whatever you requested. It maintains an account of this with something called the state file, and then anytime you change anything in the future, it compares what you provisioned to the state file to look for any changes. That's basically it. So how does this compare to other tools? We'll get to that, but I'm basically just going to go over the high level of some things you might want to consider. Config management versus provisioning, that's a decision you're going to have to make in your shop. Do we want to be constantly reconfiguring and configuring things and managing the config, or do we want to have a very immutable system where we're constantly rebuilding things based on images or containers? So the mutable versus immutable infrastructure is also a conversation. Procedural versus declarative, general purpose versus domain specific, master versus masterless, domain or agent versus agentless. These are all things you need to consider. Paid versus free, large community versus small community, mature versus cutting edge. And then, obviously you'll probably end up using multiple tools together. Terraform itself is a provisioning versus the config management. It can do some provisioning or some like config stuff after the fact with something called a provisioner, but you can think of it more like a provisioner, not a config management tool. It's immutable infrastructure. It's got declarative language. It's domain specific, the HashiCorp language. It's masterless. It's agentless. There is a free tier. There is a different license model nowadays. So that's a whole nother conversation. It's a very large community, very mature in where it's at right now, and it integrates with pretty much anything. So there's your down and dirty. If you have any questions, let me know. But if not, let's go ahead and roll right into it.